In today's video, I have just a whole bunch of controversy, really. I'm not making it up on purpose. I've literally just realised one of them in front of me right now. It's a CEX pickup. I'm not happy about it, but luckily it is cheap enough that I can just fix it myself. And then there's a Facebook Marketplace dealing that really had me confused and frustrated, so I walked away, kind of. And then, of course, charity shops, and I find something. I've actually found a video game in a charity shop worth buying, and I bought it, and I'll show you that in a minute. However, there's just some other things there that doesn't really make an awful lot of sense, and now it throws up even more questions, and I'm even more confused. So first, let me talk about the CEX pickups. Now, I was in town a few days ago, I was having a little look around, filming some other stuff, and I bought a couple of games that I've been looking for a while, one of which is actually really difficult to find in reasonable condition, and under the store lighting I seem to have made a mistake. But before we get to that one, I have to talk about the first pickup. This is a very cheap pickup. This is Body Count. Now, I must admit, I still don't know an awful lot about this. It looks like a first-person shooter. This one seems to have passed me by, and to be fair, it's not something I see that often. Or at least I don't remember seeing it that often. You know when you walk into CEX and you flick through the games and you see the usual suspects? Your Gears of War, your Grids, your Need for Speeds, these type of games stick out like a sore thumb and you see them everywhere you go. But this game I don't remember seeing on the shelf, and I don't ever remember seeing it in boot sales or in bundles on Facebook Marketplace. So I've picked it up and I'm going to give it a go. If you've played it, let me know what you think of it in the comments. Now this one, I've literally just looked at it and thought, oh my god, how did I not notice? Yesterday, when I was on Vinted, there was a guy selling Xbox 360 games. Where am I going with this? He was selling copies of Xbox 360 games. I don't know if you need a modded Xbox to be able to play a copied game. I really don't know whether it just emulates the disc and you don't, or the Xbox rather, doesn't notice the difference. If that's the case, then that's pretty cool. However, it's not legal for him to be selling those, and even though in the description somewhere it was saying that they were copies, some of them were made to look like they were real, others were clear copies, and they didn't have any art on it. It was literally just written Need for Speed, for example. But I was looking closer at the cases, and I noticed a few things with reprinted covers, if you will. Well, this is Command & Conquer Tiberium Wars. I have this on the PC and I've played this a hell of a lot. I absolutely love this game on the PC. I have played it on the Xbox. One of my friends back when I worked in Game Station didn't have a PC powerful enough to play this game, so we all got it on the Xbox. And even though it is testing at times because only a certain number of enemies can spawn on the screen and it does have some slowdown issues, I would imagine on an Xbox One this wouldn't be too bad. This was pretty cheap and I don't see it that often. It's either a classics or it doesn't have the manual, it's in poor condition, the artwork is ripped, etc. This looked to be in good condition and it had the manual, which I was very grateful for, as you can see. And of course the disc, which is a genuine disc, there's no problem with it. This was only like £2.50 or something, so it's not a big deal, but I've just noticed that the cover is a reprint. It's pretty good, to be fair. Like, it's really good, actually. You'll only notice when you start reading the back of it and you start looking at the text and you're like, that's a little bit blurry, and then the art on the back is just a little bit off. And then I looked at the front and I noticed this here then becomes a little bit more obvious once you've got that into your mind. This is a reprint. Now, whether CEX are the ones that did this, because back in the day, before they started putting cover reprint in the corner, they were notorious for doing this sort of thing. They would reprint the actual full cover as best they could to the original and sell it as is, but not tell anyone that it was a reprinted cover. You had to notice it yourself, which obviously in the shop I didn't. I didn't enter my head for a second that that wouldn't be the original cover. So that is pretty frustrating. You can actually tell a little bit better when it's on the side as well. Maybe not on camera, but it doesn't quite line up and it is a little bit on the sort of faded, blurry side. So that is now a game that I have, that I've wanted in the collection for a while, granted not expensive, that I now need to look for again because I don't want a reprinted cover on the shelf. Many people wouldn't care, and to be fair, I might forget about it every now and again, but when I do clock it, I will go, oh, that frustrates me. So I do need to replace this. But for the time being anyway, we have Tiberium Wars. Now all I need is Kane's Wrath. So that was frustrating. However, this next thing takes it to a whole other level. This next one is a Facebook Marketplace pickup. Now, it's not a secret that my Facebook Marketplace area, at least, has been terrible the last maybe 6 months. I genuinely cannot remember the last time I arranged to pick something up off someone on Facebook. It's been awful. If I have seen something, I've been too late, I've been ghosted, or they've sent me a message saying, sorry, it's already gone. This time around, I was on the ball. I say that, I was actually 12 hours late, and in Facebook terms, that is the equivalent of a week. However, it hadn't gone. It was still there. It was a PlayStation 4 Slim console with 2 controllers and a bunch of games. And the games were decent. I mean, some of them were worthless, like FIFA 21 and Overwatch and things, but there were a lot of, I wouldn't say high price, but reasonably priced games there. FIFA 23, for example, is around a £23-25 trade-in. CEX try and sell it for 35, and it's the exact same story for Modern Warfare 2 on the PS4. For those 2 games alone, I could get a 50 quid trade. He was asking £100 for the whole thing. The Slim console with a controller, unlike Overwatch and FIFA 21 and maybe one other game, on eBay would sell comfortably for £100, maybe even more. I could then get an additional 20 for the extra controller, which means I'm £20 in profit. And then together with FIFA and Modern Warfare 2 trading in and the rest of the games, I could probably get upwards of around £70 credit, and I would keep a couple for myself. Need for Speed, for example. Well, is there 2 of them? Maybe both of them. That would have been a £70 credit for CEX. It would have been £20 in profit and my money back. That was an incredible deal for £100. So obviously I sent him a message, and what I like to do is I like to say, look, I can come right now this second, and then at the end I do put if it's still available, because I want them to know that, I want them to give them a reason to message me back, because I hate being left there not knowing if they're going to message me in an hour or 3, or whether it is still available, whether it's gone, because some people just don't take the listings down. Anyway, he gets back to me, and it's not the response I expect. He said, yeah, but how much will you pay? Someone has just offered 120. That is not the response I was expecting. I was expecting either no response at all or no, it's not available. And at the very best, I was hoping he would just say, yeah, when can you come pick it up? But 120 all of a sudden, so I have to go above that. Now, we've already worked out that I can probably make about £120 out of this. Maybe I could squeeze a little bit more, but I'm happy to spend that £5. So I was like, well, I'll give you 125 and I'll come now, thinking that that would be fine, right? Well, his next message threw me proper through a loop. He said, oh, now he's offering 150. All right, I'm out. Who jumps from 125 to 150 anyway? No one. This is a deal that was massively undervalued, don't get me wrong, but putting up there for £100 and then hoping for a little bit more is one thing, but then pitting me off against what could potentially be no one. He could literally just be chancing his arm at this point. I was happy at 100, I was content at 125, I was out at 150. There was no way I was going to do it, but that was a very strange interaction. I never get that normally. The DS guy, for example, that I bought, I think he had it up there for 60 quid with some games. I said, look, I'll come and get it right now. He said, yeah, that's fine. When I got to the door, he said he had loads of people messaging saying that they wanted to pick it up. And a lot of those people were also offering him more money. But he declined it because he'd already said yes to me. And I've had that a lot in the past with other consoles and games and things, and I'm grateful to those people. This is one of those who just wanted as much money as he could possibly get, and hey, there's nothing wrong with that. It's your item. You try and shoot for the best price possible. But once you've agreed a price with someone, and it wasn't even me, it was the other guy, in my opinion, I would have just been like, look, I've agreed a price with you, I'll sell it to you for the price that I agreed. I was happy to sell it that first time round. Just because someone's come in with an extra £5 doesn't mean I'm going to jeopardize that. But each to their own, I guess. I have bashed charity shops a lot over the last week, and to my surprise, many of you actually agree. There are a few people with conflicting opinions, and that's more than fine. But for those of you who agree, I'm glad you agree, because I've seen prices just go up and up and up across not just video games, but everything else you can imagine as well. Plush, trainers, clothes in general, books even have gone up in price. Books. People these days will have Kindles, iPads, and even on their phone, because phones are getting bigger again. People will read books on their phone. So who's buying books? Not many people, and yet the prices are still going up. And this one particular charity shop that I continue to pick on to be fair, they don't do themselves any favours. This is the one that overprices Wii's, tries to sell them for like 30, 50 quid, no controllers, missing wires, etc. They often have video games, and on this occasion, they had some fresh ones. So I walk in and I start looking through. Now, the footage is vertical because there were a lot of people around and I didn't want to be like that. I was just holding it as if I was looking something up and just filming the price for you. So there's a few games there that are a fiver. And to me, it's a little bit on the pricey side. I can go to CEX and I can get them cheaper. And if I can get them cheaper in CEX, I can probably get them cheaper elsewhere as well. I am not an advocate necessarily, but I would not be against, and I've said this in the past, charity shops using the CEX app to price their games. Now, I don't mean price match, I mean price them up at the cash price, for example. So no one can buy them in a charity shop and then go and like profit, if you will, from it in CEX, but they can get a good deal, and if they want to, they can get an extra £1 maybe in a voucher if they really want to do that. I would not be against it. I think that's actually a really good idea, and not just video games, they could do it with consoles and things as well. I think it's a banging idea, and nearly every single charity shop should do that, unless charity shops sell video games at £1 full stop anyway, and in which case, let me know where they are. I'll be there tomorrow. But anyway, this charity shop, I don't know what they're doing, because some of the games were like, well, that's on par with CEX, and then other games were just completely way off the mark. I don't understand. And that's the thing that confuses me the most about this particular charity shop, but charity shops in general. How do they price things? Where do they get these prices from? So there's a couple of Xbox 360 games for a fiver. I pick up GoldenEye, which to be fair is actually a pricier game. It's not like a £1 game. They've got it at £7. There's no way anyone would know that unless it was researched, right? Unless they looked it up. So you're thinking, well, they obviously look up the prices of their games. Yeah, but do they though? Because 2 or 3 games over, there was a Mario Kart case. Now, I was fully expecting there to be, My Fitness, whatever it is, in there. What is that game called? Wii Fit? Yeah, I was expecting Wii Fit to be in there. But to my surprise, Mario Kart was in there, and it was in decent enough condition to trade as well, which took me by surprise a little bit. However, they've marked this up at £3. That doesn't make any sense. This is a much more expensive game. So how did you come to the conclusion that this was £3, but that GoldenEye game was £7, and that Mortal Kombat DC game was £5? I don't get it. It just. So here it is, Mario Kart Wii. Now, I didn't actually look up the price of this, but I know full well that it's worth more than £3, and £3 is what I paid. And I showed you in the video already, but it is in there. Now, it doesn't come with the manual, unfortunately, but to be fair, that's not that big a deal. We already have this in the collection, so it's not one to keep. And incidentally, my disc is in better condition. However, my case is not in better condition, so I will swap the discs, keep this new one, because the case on this one's in better condition. There's just like a bit of fade in on the spine there from where it's been in the sun from the previous owner, I should say. So this will be the one that I end up selling, and that'll be the one that I end up keeping. But either way, Mario Kart for £3. You can get things in charity shops. Hallelujah. My CEX has a lot of Mega Drive games I want to buy, and they have a lot of Xbox 360 games I want to pick up. I actually want to start picking up some of the more pricier Xbox 360 games. I'm not going to go for a complete collection because that would be mental. I'm sure many of you have started and maybe thought about it, but to be fair, if you weigh up the cost of completing a full set of Xbox 360, it's not that bad. There aren't that many Xbox 360 games, at least PAL anyway, that go over that sort of, stupid threshold of what I'm willing to pay. There are a few that are like 40, 50 quid, but that's generally where you draw the line. There aren't really many that go beyond that, at least that I can see anyway. And I'm going to look to do that in the next episode or two. I'm going to go into CEX and I'm going to set myself a budget, and I'm going to see what I can pick up for that set budget. I had a vision the other day of me filling this bookcase behind me with just Xbox 360, having the screen in the middle with the console running and just having the whole thing from top to bottom in games. And I kind of want to fulfill that dream. I don't think it'll be expensive to do, but there are a few pricier games, like I mentioned, that I would like to pick up. My CEX have them, and I wouldn't mind using some credit. So hopefully I can find something on Facebook over the next few days, pick it up, use that to get some store credit, and we can go from there. If you want to check out another video where I actually spent store credit, you can click here, and until the next time, goodbye.